Thank you for those who are tuning in or for those of you who are watching a recorded version of this webinar. So my name is Joanna Ramsdell. I'm one of the therapists from Counseling and Psychological Services at UM-Dearborn, and I'm a clinical social worker. So part of my training is in something called dialectical behavior therapy. And today I'm going to be talking about dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT skill, called self-soothing, and how it's applicable to coping with crisis situations and uncertain times in our lives, which I think all of us can relate to currently in the world that we're living in today with the situation with COVID-19 and the global pandemic. So I wanted to kind of speak about how we can do the best with what we have to survive things like increased isolation and time at home, and how we can really utilize the tools that we have in our homes to practice self-soothing. My hope is that you can find things, no matter how much or how little you have, that you can use as friends to cope with the increased isolation and the situation we're in now. So I'm going to talk a bit about what self-soothing really is and how it can be a tool to cope with a crisis. And I'm going to talk about what it isn't and how to use it, how not to use it. Then I'm going to demonstrate self-soothing with a brief activity. And today's session will end with a guided meditation that uses the concepts of self-soothing and gives you another strategy to manage stress and anxiety that, of course, all of us to some extent are feeling now with the current life situation we're in. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And this is my first time doing a Zoom webinar, so if there are any technical difficulties, I apologize in advance. Here we go. Alrighty. So we are going to go ahead and start our PowerPoint presentation. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. I'm just going to see. Okay. Looks like my microphone is on. Hopefully this all is working. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about self-soothing with household items, with items that we all have or to some extent can find at home. The reason I wanted to do this with household items is because most of us hopefully are practicing social distancing measures to slow the spread of COVID-19. So therefore, we're spending a lot more time at home. We're maybe spending less time being social or being around other people. I know for myself, I live alone and many others do. Or you're just spending time with family, not being able to see your friends, other people who are important to you. So what are things you can use, just everyday items at home to kind of cope with the increased sense of anxiety, the increased sense of uncertainty that we're all feeling? Again, I'm Joanna Ramsdell. I'm a licensed clinical social worker working with University of Michigan-Dearborn, CAPS, or Counseling Psychological Services. And this is one of the many webinars that we're offering for the UM-Dearborn community to kind of provide some extra support for our community dealing with this uncertain time. So like I said, self-soothing is a skill that comes from DBT, which is dialectical behavior therapy, kind of a mouthful there. Dialectical, that word means kind of both and thinking or finding a middle ground to situations. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. It's a type of therapy that was created by Marsha, who is a psychologist and researcher from University of Washington. And DBT is a fairly new type of treatment that was actually created for specifically for individuals with borderline personality disorder. And the reason this was such a huge and monumental treatment to be brought into the world of psychology and therapy is because initially, before DBT, borderline personality disorder was considered a very difficult to treat disorder because it involves kind of somebody's personality and patterns of behavior and emotional dysregulation that are very long-standing and very difficult to treat. It's still very difficult to treat, but DBT was able to provide some evidence that that these types of techniques were really helpful for individuals with BPD. However, you don't have to have BPD to benefit from DBT skills. DBT skills really are beneficial for everyone, no matter if you have a mental health diagnosis or not. If you're dealing with things like depression or anxiety, they can be helpful. Or if you're just dealing with everyday life stressors, DBT skills can be really helpful. So what are DBT skills? DBT skills are a set of coping skills that help us manage stress and overwhelming emotions, and also help us have more mindful awareness of ourselves and others, and also help us develop better relationships. DBT is centered around a phrase called walking the middle path. And the middle path is kind of about finding the both and way of thinking in every situation. So absolutes, like always or never, can be really inaccurate ways of thinking and also add to feelings of anxiety and depression. For example, if you're saying something like, I never feel happy, is that really accurate? Can you really not think of a time you've ever felt happy, right? And thinking that way, how does that make you feel? I never feel happy might make you feel really hopeless or despondent about life. So DBT is about challenging some of that black and white thinking and finding a middle path. Part of that is also the theory of wise mind. So we have kind of 4 states of mind in this image that you see here. Emotion mind and reason mind are kind of the 2 opposite parallels. Emotion mind is when we're really caught up in our feelings and our feelings really dominate us, kind of like in that movie Inside Out, right? Where all of the emotions kind of take the wheel and kind of influence how that person is moving through the world. That's how it can feel like when we have really strong emotions like anger or sadness or anxiety, fear, right? Many of us might be feeling fear right now. And when we're in that emotion mind of fear, we might want to do things like hoard supplies, read the news cycle over and over and ruminate about the COVID-19 virus, right? So when we're living in emotion mind, it can feel very uncomfortable, and we can also act in impulsive ways that make our situation worse. On the other side, we have reasonable mind, which is very devoid of emotion, very logical. So kind of that state of mind we might access when we're at work or in school, trying to complete a task where you're kind of detached from emotion. The problem with really only living in emotion mind or reason mind is that we don't integrate the 2. Wise mind is when we're able to kind of see the benefits of emotional awareness and be in tune with our emotions while also recognizing the facts, recognizing the logic of a situation. So it helps us take care of our emotions in a way that's logical and in a way that makes sense. Body mind is another type of mind state where you're coming out of that cerebral state and getting back into your body. And we can do that with things like meditation and mindfulness, where we're tuning into our body. With self-soothing, we're also going to be talking about accessing our body more as a stress management tool. Because when we can enter into our senses what we're experiencing in the here and now and get us out of those really unhealthy thought spirals. And the focus of DBT is to create your life worth living, right? It's not about solving all of your life's problems, but it's more about finding a way to access a life that's worth living to you, where you experience the ups and downs of life in a skillful way. So there are 4 categories of skills in DBT, and they all stem from a central skill that we always go into first with DBT, which is mindfulness skills. Mindfulness, as you may know if you've heard this term before, is really about awareness of what's going on in and outside of you without attachment and judgment, right? So when we're practicing mindfulness, we're aware of what we're feeling, what we're thinking, what our body feels like, what physical sensations are happening inside of us. We're also aware of what's happening in our environment. We're aware of kind of what's happening outside of us, how other people are behaving, what kind of is just going on in general. But with mindfulness, we're able to view these situations and witness these situations happening in and outside of us without judgment. And that's super important, right? When we're in judgment, we're usually not present. We're usually making kind of broad assumptions about others and ourselves that aren't helpful and aren't accurate. So mindfulness helps us let go of judgment, let go of evaluating or putting value on things, and being just aware of what's going on. With mindfulness, we're able to develop other skills, such as emotion regulation skills, or being able to manage your moods and make your emotions work for you rather than feeling like your emotions are controlling you. So emotion regulation is really important. Interpersonal effectiveness, this is how we deal with others, how we have healthy relationships with others, how we communicate our needs to others, also an important set of skills we all need. And then what we'll be talking about most are distress tolerance skills, which are just skills for managing the stressors and difficulties and painful experiences that life brings us. No matter who you are, no matter how fortunate you have been in life, we all experience pain, we all experience discomfort, and we all experience difficult situations, right? That's very evident right now. We're all very connected globally in this current pandemic, experiencing the uncertainty of, will I be safe? Will my loved ones be safe? Experiencing the worries of if you're sick or if someone you know is sick, and what is really going to happen? How is this going to change our world? How is this going to change our way of life, right? So that can bring an enormous amount of anxiety and stress that is very valid. And how do we tolerate and accept the situations we have no control over, but also work on making the most of it and coping in the best way we can? That's really what distress tolerance is about. So that brings us to self-soothing, right? So what really is self-soothing? Self-soothing is that process of being able to regulate and calm down our bodies and our minds in a time of intense stress or crisis, right? So this is incredibly important right now for all of us who are experiencing more anxiety, more uncertainty, more fear around the global pandemic. Let's talk a little bit about what self-soothing is used for. Obviously, it's a distress tolerance tool. How do you manage distress? Distress is a term of stress that is based on negative, unforeseen events that bring about pain or difficulty. So how do we accept those things, right? Because we can't necessarily change them, we can't solve them. Self-soothing can help us cope with short-term problems that we can't solve, right? So things that are unexpected and hopefully short-term, but any sorts of problems that you're not able to just find a solution for, self-soothing can help us just bring a sense of letting go and acceptance to that problem and put the focus back on soothing ourselves, comforting ourselves, and getting ourselves to a state where we're able to just best deal with those circumstances. It does this by changing our body's response to a crisis. For example, if anyone has experienced a panic attack, you know how awful of a situation that can feel like. Your breath gets really rapid, you might start sweating or feel hot, you might feel outside of your body, you might feel like you're having a heart attack, your heart is racing, right? You're breathing super heavy, you might get like a stomach ache, you're sweating, it's just awful, right? So we have different tools to get back into our body by cultivating the senses and therefore bringing a sense of regulation to that body system that is panicking, right? So it can kind of help us feel more in control of our anxiety and things like panic, or even intense anger, right? When we're feeling that tension, that anger, we're clenching, it can kind of help us tune in and develop a more easy manner so that we're able to at least be in a better headspace to deal with stress. It also helps us cultivate a sense of self-compassion. This is incredibly important, right? Because especially for many of us who are feeling more isolated and don't have access to the support systems that we normally can access, how do we then become our own supports? How do we sit with our own discomfort and have a sense of kindness and understanding and patience with ourselves? If we're constantly berating ourselves for the things we're not doing well, for the things we're not doing enough of, how does that make us feel versus when we're being understanding and forgiving and gentle with ourselves? That is really important to think about when we're in a time of crisis or stress. How can we be compassionate towards ourselves? And self-soothing is a practice of doing that, right? So even if you feel like that's really hard for you to do, to be compassionate, most of us are very critical of ourselves. Most of us tend to be our worst critics. So it can feel normal that that's a difficult thing to do. But self-soothing are just actionable steps to practice that self-compassion, even when it's not natural to us. Let's talk about what it's not used for, right? It's not used to solve all of our life's problems, right? Especially long-term ones. It's not going to cure depression. It's not going to solve a pandemic. It's not going to take any of those long-term issues you've dealt with your whole life, with your family, with your health, with anything that's just been chronic, long-lasting. It's not going to solve those problems for you, but it will help put you in a better frame of mind and better state of mind to deal with those more effectively. It's also not meant to replace asking for help, right? Just because we have the ability to self-soothe doesn't mean we shouldn't ask for help, right? Humans are hardwired for connection and we're social creatures. So therefore, finding ways to connect with others, even through social isolation and social distancing, is still important. So we still can call our friends, we still can call our family, have safe social distance activities with others. And we still might need to ask for professional help if we're dealing with things like an anxiety disorder or a serious issue that we can't manage on our own. So this is not meant to replace asking for help when we need to. It's also not meant to avoid the experience of all distress or negative emotion. We've talked about how these are things that we all have to deal with, negative emotions and stress. So how can we bring a sense of acceptance to those experiences for what they are, but also managing them the best we can? So it doesn't mean you're never going to feel pain, you're never going to feel stressed out, you're never going to feel anxious. Those things are a part of life. So it's really not meant to take away those experiences as much as it is about how do I meet those experiences with my best self and get through it the best way I possibly can. So how do we self-soothe? We'll talk about this a little bit in more detail, but what I wanted to start by talking about is that self-soothing is a kind of instinctive skill that we all develop early in life, right? Think about babies. How do babies self-soothe, right? Babies don't have language to verbalize their needs or communicate what their kind is going on within them. So there needs to be a sense of self-soothing when we're infants, right? Infants do things like sucking on their thumb or cooing or rocking back and forth. They find ways to manage their own distress. But what happens when we grow older? We're kind of discouraged from those self-soothing behaviors, right? Don't suck your thumb, don't kind of sing to yourself, that's weird, like stop doing that. We're kind of taught to be ashamed of our emotions and to ignore them, which is really, really toxic and dangerous because it puts us in a place where we're no longer skillful at bringing that sense of self-soothing, right? So I think a lot of this is relearning what came natural to us early in life. Self-soothing is an experience that involves the senses because it's about bringing yourself back into the physical body and out of your thoughts, out of your really intense emotions during a crisis. So I want to talk about 6 senses, and the 6th one is not seeing dead people, just so you know. The 6 senses we're going to talk about: vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, the 5 that we all know. And then I'm adding movement because movement is another really great way to self-soothe. So I wanted to add that 6th sense as well. So let's start with vision. And as we go through these, we're going to be talking about household items. So I want you to think about, what do you have available to you in each of these categories in your home? And I want to give you the opportunity to kind of create your own self-soothing plan as we go through this. So making it your own. There's all sorts of options for these. So I'm giving my own examples, but there are endless options in each category. So you'll probably be able to think of things outside of what I have listed on these slides. So I want to encourage you to get creative and kind of see what you have available to you. So let's start with the sense of vision, with the sense of seeing. How do we engage the sense of vision in a way that's going to bring that soothing quality, right? What are things that you see that kind of increase a sense of calm or increase a sense of positive emotion? Are you the kind of person that likes to look through old photographs on Facebook, or for those of us who have photo albums or physical photos, to remember a really fun trip you took, or to remember a loved one, or to bring some memories to the forefront that are pleasant, right? So kind of looking through photographs. Doing art, coloring, and crafts involve vision and can be really fun. Even just looking at art, we can't really do this now, but I used to like to go to art museums. So maybe you have picture books, maybe you have a coloring book you can use, maybe you have crafts that you can do at home, maybe you have art on your walls that you can kind of just take a moment and stare at and kind of appreciate for a moment, even just giving yourself a moment to do that. Watching nature videos or images, like the one I have here of this beautiful waterfall. Doing makeup and cosmetics, like painting your nails, that also can be using vision, right? Because a lot of us find that to be a creative process, and we're creating a new visual to appreciate within ourselves. That can be a really fun way to use vision. Of course, practicing social distancing, you can maybe go outside for a walk and really notice what you see. Maybe deciding to not listen to music or not take your phone, and really just take inventory of what you're seeing as you go outside for a walk. Obviously, TV, movies, YouTube, these can be great ways to use your sense of vision to self-soothe that we all use. Of course, we don't want to do that to the state where we're avoiding or numbing out all the time, but giving yourself permission to kind of binge watch one of your favorite shows can be a really nice way to bring some self-soothing. Also, you don't even need to have tangible items to use vision. The power of visualization is really profound. So when I say visualization, even just using your own imagination to cultivate a visual in your mind that is soothing to you. One of my favorite ways to do that is the peaceful place meditation, which is a visualization exercise that I'm actually going to go over at the end of our presentation today. And since I'm not looking at my computer's clock, I'm going to be glancing down at my phone just to see what time it's like. So, also, there's my cat. Looking at pets can be very visually soothing as well. Just looking at, I love to kind of look at my cats like playing with each other, so that can also be an option. All right, hi Dexter. Dexter's showing off for us right now. Self-soothing with the sense of hearing, with the sense of audio. So what are things that we can do to bring a sense of calm or soothe ourselves with our ears, right? So of course, music, I think, is one of the most obvious ones for this sense, because music is a very soothing and healing option that we have available to us, and it's been around, for pretty much as long as humans have been around. So playing an instrument, making your own music, maybe making your own self-soothing playlist could be a fun activity. What are the songs or the tracks you really enjoy that bring a sense of calm or make you feel happy? Maybe making your own playlist can give you something fun to do. Some of us really enjoy white noise, fans, especially. I know when I sleep, I like to sleep with a fan. So you can kind of use those options. Noisemakers, like if you have egg shakers or rain sticks available to you, those can be great household items to use. You can go on YouTube and search for guided meditations or nature sounds. Also, you don't need physical objects for this one necessarily either. You can use your voice, so singing, chants, those are ways that we can access self-soothing anywhere we are. You don't need to be a good singer to sing, right? So singing your favorite song, belting it out, especially if you're alone, like that can be a really fun thing to do. Also, you can speak affirmations to yourself. Affirmations are positive messages that we can say aloud or to ourselves that help us just change our state of mind. So for example, saying, I'm gonna have a great day. I have happiness available to me today. I am able to support myself through times of difficulty. I am strong and resilient through times of stress, right? So just kind of saying those things to ourselves, or speaking gratitude, right? I'm grateful for the people I have in my life. I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful for the food in my fridge, right? Saying things like that can also just change our state of mind and make us feel better. Self-soothing with the sense of smell. This is one of my favorite ones because I think it's super effective. Strangely enough, when you think of trauma, so people who have been through traumatic events, a lot of times the sense that is most associated with trauma is smell. So you might have flashbacks to certain smells that you have, that you remember from traumatic events. But this can also work the opposite way. Smells can also bring us back to more calming or pleasant moments of our life and really be effective tools for self-soothing. So what kind of things do you have in your home that you could use to self-soothe with the sense of smell? I have some ideas written here, but of course you can pick your own. So scented candles, right? Picking your favorite scents and having candles available to you, or incense. Sometimes baking or cooking can be a really great way to use this one because you're cooking up something that has a really great smell that you can really just kind of fully immerse yourself into. If you have flowers available to you inside or outside your home, herbs and spices, scented lotion, anything that has a pleasant smell that you have available to you. So I'm gonna just take a moment and encourage you, since we've been through 3 of the senses, we've been through vision, hearing, and smell. Take a moment and even pause the video if you'd like, if this is a recorded version, and find something that fits in with each of those 3 categories. So again, vision, hearing, and smell. What do you have available to you in the space you're in now? And take a moment and just see if you can grab at least 3 items that fit those categories. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that you've either paused the video or were able to at least grab something nearby that fits with those categories. So we will continue on. Self-soothing with taste. So what are some things that you can use for this one? This can also be a really fun option for self-soothing because who doesn't enjoy, delicious food to taste? Baking, of course, baking some delicious cookies if you have them available. If you're not a baker, you could even get just the dough that's pre-made and bake your own cookies, have those fresh gooey cookies available to you, or muffins, banana bread, whatever you like to bake. Also cooking and eating comfort foods, whatever your favorite comfort foods are, making them at home can be a really fun project. Or of course, you know, maybe ordering food if that's available to you. Small things that you can carry with you are nice. So if you have mints, gum, small pieces of candy or chocolate that you can carry with you on your person, therefore they're available to you, accessible to you wherever you go, and just can bring like a nice moment of of soothing. Also, hot beverages are really nice. I chose to specifically name hot beverages because I think a warm cup of coffee, tea, or hot cocoa really has a more soothing feel to me than like a cold drink. It's just like warm in your hand. You can feel the steam rising on your face and kind of take slow sips. So it's a little bit more easy to be slow and mindful when you're drinking something warm. So those are other suggestions. So I'm gonna have you either pause or take a moment and grab something that you can eat. It can be a piece of fruit, it can be a piece of candy or chocolate, something that hopefully you like the taste of. And we're gonna do a little practice with this one. So either pause the video or take a moment, I'll give you a second to grab something in your household that, that you could eat. Do the same. All right, so I'm gonna assume that you have taken the time to grab something that you can eat and you are holding it. Now don't eat it yet. We're gonna go through a process called mindful eating. And mindful eating is really about fully being present with all of the senses and enjoying a slow process of ingesting food, hopefully food that you like in this case. So I have a piece of dark chocolate. So grabbing your food, we're gonna start with the sense of vision. So you can just go ahead and hold your food in your hand and just notice the visual aspect of it. Notice any sort of textures or colors, shapes. What do you see? And noticing without judgment the visuals of the food that you selected. And now using the sense of touch, for me, I'm gonna open mine because it's in a wrapper. So if yours is, go ahead and do that. And as you're unwrapping your food, maybe notice the textures and the feel of the wrapper and the visual of how it's changed. So for me, I'm opening my dark chocolate, now holding the chocolate in my hand. This is a Dove chocolate, so it has a little affirmation on it. It says, be the sculptor of your dreams. Nice little phrase that I think goes with our lesson today. So then holding the food between your fingers, what does it feel like? What are the textures? How does it feel in your hand? And just slowly, without judgment, noticing with the sense of touch. Then bringing the item of food close to your nose, we're going to use our sense of smell. And if at all, do you notice a sense of smell when you smell the food? Is the scent subtle? Is it strong? What feelings come up or memories come up maybe when you smell your food? And then slowly, maybe introducing the sense of taste now. If you're able to, maybe just try to take a smaller bite of your food and just notice the taste of it first. Noticing the taste and how it feels on your tongue. Noticing any memories or feelings that come up without judgment as you taste your food. And now when you're ready, you can go ahead and take a bite or put the piece of candy or whatever you have in your mouth and see if you can sort of let it melt in your mouth and slowly enjoy the taste as you eat your food. You can even close your eyes and really immerse yourself in the experience of tasting and eating your food. And whether or not you're done, we will continue on with the rest of our self-soothing senses. So feel free to keep eating your food as we go forward. Self-soothing with the sense of touch. So here are some ideas that you may have available to you in your home. Do you have any soft blankets or pillows that you enjoy the sensation or touch of? Some fuzzy socks. If you're a person who has pets, pets can be a really great option for the sense of touch. You know, cuddling with your pets can definitely bring a sense of calm and joy to those of us who are animal lovers. Things like Play-Doh, clay, silly putty, thinking putty, fidget spinners are great options for touch. Lotions, exfoliator, face masks, cosmetics, a warm bath or a shower is a great option for touch. And again, you might not even need a physical object for this one. One really excellent way to practice self-compassion in the sense of touch is the hand on the heart method. So sometimes just simply taking a hand on your heart, closing your eyes, and breathing in nice and deep. Nice breath in through the nose. And just feeling your hand on your heart. Maybe even saying some positive affirmations towards yourself. Oh, we're talking about pets and my cat in the video. But yeah, using the hand on the heart and just breathing with yourself can even be a nice way to practice self-compassion. Self-soothing with movement. I wanted to add this sense because I think it's extra important right now. Of course, many of us are much less active than we normally are, and I think that's absolutely understandable and okay. We don't have to be doing intense exercise right now. Many of us might be feeling more tired or less productive, and that's okay. We're kind of raised in a society that makes us feel as though we have to always be productive, and I think this time in our life is a real invitation to go inward, be a little bit more still, be a little bit more present with ourselves. But even just light and gentle movement can bring a lot of benefits to our body as we're going through these stressful times. So using stretching exercises with your body, doing things like yoga. There's a lot of free resources. I believe the app Down Dog usually is a paid app, but is offering for free. I can't endorse it because I've never used it, but I did hear that that's an option for people, as well as there's like yoga with Adrian. It's free on YouTube. Social distance measures, of course, included. You could go take a walk outside. You can use movement even through creation. Movement's involved when we cook or bake in the kitchen, when we're doing writing, journaling, arts and crafts, playing a musical instrument, all included in this sense of movement. And of course, those combine multiple senses, right, with like hearing, sense of smell and taste when you're cooking, and movement. Dancing, right, putting on music and just moving your body and dancing to music can be a really great method of self-soothing, or even just deep breathing. The breath can be a wonderful anchor to draw upon on these times, right? Because the breath is always moving. There's always movement in our body, and we can tune into that by just noticing our breath, right? Even if you just took a moment and notice right now, notice your stomach kind of rising and falling as you breathe in and out. Notice the movement of the breath in through the nose, right? And how that feels. Even breathing is a part of self-soothing with movement. So why are these skills helpful in a pandemic specifically? So a few things I wanted to highlight with self-soothing that I think applies to the current situation with COVID-19 is that this is a crisis, right? A crisis is defined as a short-term stressful event that brings a highly intense set of stress to the body and our emotional health. And it usually creates a sense of wanting to act or wanting to solve it. But unfortunately, this is a situation that we don't know how long it's going to last, but we are in this adjustment period, right? And we can't change or solve it right now. However, we can work on coping with our bodies, with our minds, and with our emotions. So self-soothing helps regulate our body's response to stress. By doing these activities, you can actually decrease your heart rate. You can slow the rate of your breathing. People who engage in self-soothing, mindfulness, meditation, studies have shown that this stuff can really change not only your emotional health, but your physical health and your body's response, which can be super helpful. Also, getting back into our body and back into the present moment helps us distract and let go of unhelpful thoughts like, this will never be over, I'll never survive, this is terrible, this is the worst thing ever, right? It's good to stay informed. I'm not saying don't ever read the news, don't know what's going on, or don't take precautions. But sometimes when we are ruminating or getting stuck in constantly looking at social media, constantly looking at the news, getting us out of that by doing an activity or engaging in self-soothing can be really helpful. It also helps us work towards acceptance and letting go, right? There's that statement, that phrase, help me by granting me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I think that phrase is really important right now because, of course, we can't change the fact that this pandemic exists and it's worldwide. So what do we need to accept and what do we need to let go? What are we going to be available to do for ourselves and to change? And what are the things that we really can't change that we need to kind of surrender to and let go of? I think the self-compassion aspect of self-soothing helps us develop increased self-esteem and also self-love, which helps us cope with isolation and the lack of social contact that most of us are experiencing. It also increases positive emotions and a sense of calm during the uncertainty and stress of the COVID-19 situation, which all, I think, aren't going to solve these problems for us, but will help us be our best selves to deal with the reality of the situation we're all in. So my challenge for you for the week ahead is to create a self-soothing kit. So what I would encourage you all to do is take these household items that you've collected that go with each of the 6 categories. So I'd encourage you throughout the video to take at least one item in your home that fits with each of the 6 categories. And try to find maybe just like a container or a box or a bag, whatever you have, or even just a section of your house, put them on your desk, somewhere that's going to be available to you. For extra flair, you could actually make a self-soothing kit. You can decorate a box or do make a sort of crafting project and have it available to you anytime you need some extra support or find yourself feeling anxious, afraid, or uneasy. Remember to get creative. Some items may fit into multiple categories, and that's great. So I'm going to see if I can share just my video here. Trying to figure out this Zoom stuff, so thank you for your patience. Okay, I think that hopefully y'all can see me now. I'm going to show you my self-soothing kit that I have created. So as you can see, I've chosen to decorate mine with with just little drawings of all the senses. And I put stuff that I just found in my house. I didn't go out and purchase any of this stuff. This is all just laying around, and stuff that I've selected for my own self-soothing kit. So starting with vision, a couple of things I like for sense of vision are crystals that I have available to me. So this is celestite and fluorite. I just really enjoy looking at these sparkly crystals and enjoying the textures of them. I actually have these in my room, and I like to use them for meditation practice also. I also have this really nice shiny sparkly one, if you can see that. For sense of vision, I also have, my friend made this really cute little name tag for me, so it makes me think of my friend, brings some positive emotions there. I have these beads, which I think also work for touch, but they're just kind of like some sparkly crystal beads that I have available for my jewelry box. For hearing, I have a little bell that I use for meditation, and I'm just gonna can use that for meditation practice. But if you have musical instruments, if you have a noisemaker, those are other options you can use. For smell, I have a little scented candle here. This one is sugared birch. It's got a really nice subtle smell that I enjoy. I also have in here a little box with incense. I like to burn incense. So this is some nice sandalwood incense. I think candles and incense also fit in with vision because I love to watch like the flame flicker in a candle or watch the incense burning. It can kind of be a nice visual. So for touch, I have some fuzzy socks. They have little kitties on them, and those can feel nice to just like slip on or slip on some comfy clothes. I also have, for scent and touch, I have this lavender wildflower hand cream, and I just put some of that on and enjoy the soft touch of it. But then it also has a really nice smell that I definitely enjoy. And then for taste, I have a little thing of dark chocolate, and I love these Dove chocolates because they have little messages on them. They're usually little positive affirmations. So I think that also brings a little bit of a sense of self-soothing. So those are the things in my kit. I'm going to encourage you to make your own and get creative with it. It'll be a fun way to kind of use some of the time you have at home. So I hope you enjoy that. And as we enter the last part of our little presentation here, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. And the last thing that we're going to do is a guided visualization practice called the Peaceful Place Meditation. So as we end our session today, I'm going to ask you to take a moment of stillness and to find a place where you won't be disturbed and can be ideally by yourself so that you will be able to really focus on this exercise. Starting by either sitting in a chair or lying down, or sitting in a nice, on your bed maybe. Find a place where you can start to come into stillness. If you're sitting in a chair, I recommend sitting upright, but not sick straight with feet on the floor so you can be grounded in the present moment. And remember that meditation and visualization is about being aware, being awake, not being asleep. So sometimes I think sitting is a nice option for this one. You can take your hands and put them palms facing up if you feel like you need to ask for strength, ask for something from the universe. If you're feeling like you want to just be a bit more grounded or a bit more rooted in the present moment, you can put your palms facing down on your knees. And you can either close your eyes or keep them open, however you feel most at ease. If you keep them open, I recommend just kind of lowering your gaze, looking down. And then we're going to start to tune in to our bodies through noticing the breath. So kind of just noticing a little bit where your breath is most obvious to you in your body. Maybe intentionally breathing through the nose right now. Noticing the air coming in and out through the nose. Noticing the rise and fall of your stomach as you breathe in and out. And then resisting an urge to control the breath, just noticing where it is, accepting however your breath feels in the body. And just taking a quick scan of the body now, from your head to your neck, to your shoulders, noticing any areas of tension, and seeing if you can invite a sense of letting go to those areas of tension. Seeing if you can breathe into those areas if you're feeling tension in your shoulders and your neck. Breathing into those areas and letting go. Scanning down your chest and back, your arms, your hands and fingers. Scanning down your stomach, your hips and legs, knees and calves, all the way down through your feet and down through your toes. And developing this sense of witnessing the body as you continue to breathe nice, deep, cleansing breaths in through the nose. Now bringing your mind's attention and your mind's eye to the image of a place that you find peaceful. This could be a place from your memories, maybe a place you really enjoyed visiting in your life, or any place that you can think of that you feel safe. If you can't think of a place that you've been to, you could make your own. You could imagine yourself on a beach or in a meadow, sitting in the sun, imagining yourself in a really cozy room by the fire. Wherever your mind brings you to, see if you can visualize that peaceful place. And as you're there, sitting in your peaceful place, take a moment to notice what you see. What do your surroundings look like in your peaceful place? Is it indoors, outdoors? Are you noticing nature? If you're indoors, are there any things on the walls? What colors do you see? Are you alone in your peaceful place? Are you surrounded by other people, nature, or animals? Notice what you see. And in your peaceful place, start to notice and tune in to what you hear. What sounds surround you in your peaceful place? If you're outdoors, do you hear birds singing? Can you hear the wind? Are you by any water? Can you hear waves rushing on the shore? If you're indoors, can you hear the crackle of a fireplace, the hum of an air conditioner? What do you hear? And then noticing your sense of smell. What does it smell like in your peaceful place? Is it crisp, fresh? Is the air salty, like the ocean? Maybe you can smell the flicker of a burning candle or the burning wood of your fireplace. Notice any smells. And what do you feel in your peaceful place? What are your feet resting on right now? What's the texture of the ground that your feet are standing upon? What's the temperature like? Do you feel a light breeze? Do you feel the heat coming from the sun? The texture of the clothes you're wearing? Notice any sensations. Notice the wind blowing through your hair. And then looking around at your peaceful place and taking in all of the senses. Really taking it in fully as you're fully present in this peaceful place. Notice how you feel. What emotions come up? What does your body feel like? What's it like to feel safe, to feel calm in this peaceful place that you've created in your mind? And as you start the process of stepping away and saying goodbye to your peaceful place, look around one last time And know that this place in your mind is always available to you anytime you need. If you feel stressed, if you feel unable to cope, this place is here for you. And maybe think of just one word that describes this peaceful place. One word that you can say to yourself in your mind that will call upon it whenever you need it and let you come back whenever this place can serve you. And then opening your eyes slowly at your own pace, maybe wiggling your fingers and toes, introducing small movements into the body, and taking a few more deep breaths. And then stretching the body, stretching those arms up nice and tall above your head. Maybe standing up and giving yourself a nice big stretch if you need one. Thank you all for joining and for practicing with me today. And I hope that this presentation has given you some tools to bring that sense of self-soothing to your life right now. And I wish you all peace, health, safety, and happiness as you go forth through the rest of your day. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.